welcome to the Man Uprising podcast. You're the first female we've had on this show.
I'm honored and I'm a little scared.
Well,
here we are.
Don't be scared, because all we do is talk about
men.
She can be scared if she wants. There's some questions that are coming.
And I am your older brother, so I've been a little scared.
And I've done podcasts with you.
And we've done podcasts, so we're all good.
Our context will be, let's be curious, not judgmental.
I love it.
If that helps.
Yes, we're good.
So in addition to you being my sister and amazing other things that you bring to the world, you also happen to be the wife of a participant in Man Uprising.
Yes, my husband. And he, when this opportunity came up, and quite honestly, I volunteered to speak to my witnessing him and his experience over, how long has it been? A year and a half, 2 years? And I offered it to you to come and speak to this because I, the closest person to him, have noticed such a difference from before Man Uprising until now. And he was 100% supportive. He loved this idea. I don't think, both personally and in the work I do, men need men.
Yeah.
And so often, that toxic masculinity,
Yeah.
where men are supposed to be strong, not vulnerable. And usually if they are vulnerable, it's with their wives.
Yeah.
And I'm always there for him. I hold space for him. But since the start of the pandemic, that's kind of when, I think a lot of people withdrew.
Yeah.
I noticed in my clientele with men, they stopped talking. And if they were talking, it was their wives coming to me saying, I'm going crazy because I'm the source of everything for my husband. And so I think it's really important that men have men and that I'm always there for him.
Yeah.
But it's a different connection.
And no different than women having women.
Exactly.
What's your opinion of can a female always have the answer or what that male needs and vice versa? Or is it okay to go get it from your peers, which in your case would be maybe a woman and in our case would be maybe a man? Speak to that.
100%. I mean, it's why there's the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. We are wired differently. Right? And so we all have a different angle from which we're going to see things. And so there are appropriate times when a man needs a woman's advice and vice versa.
Yeah.
But there are times when, he said, I'm no unique snowflake. I go into this group thinking I'm so, I have all my problems. And then I start talking to these other men who may have different experiences, but are experiencing the same feelings.
Yeah.
Right? And there's some comfort in that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's just male situations that women can't relate to.
Yeah.
And so I can't always speak to, what he needs. And the men in this group can.
Yeah. And what I've found, because I've been in peer groups for a long, long time, if I'm struggling in my business life and it's something that's pretty challenging and I share that with my spouse, that may cause worry for her. It may cause a scarcity mindset for her. And if I can take that in my case to my Man Uprising peer group, it's there's no emotion. I've been where you've been. I've walked in your shoes. I can share my experiences with you on what I did when I was feeling the same thing you're feeling.
Well, and then when you take it to your wife, you've worked out some of your shit.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't have to be the place where you dump the shit and work it out.
And it may not even be appropriate to take it to her. It's not a loyalty or a confidentiality issue for us. We've learned mainly through peer groups that we don't have to share everything with each other. That works for us. And I would share that experience with other folks if I think it could work for them too. So maybe speak to that. How do you guys operate in that, in that silo?
That's such a good point. There is such a thing as oversharing.
Yeah.
And, I think the problem is so often we try and make our spouse everything. They're our travel buddy. They're our best friend. They're our partner. Sometimes you just want that kind of romantic connection. And I think sometimes, if I'm trying to be his healer, his therapist, his mother, that's not attractive.
Yeah.
And that's not my place. I've discovered I'm a recovering high-functioning codependent. And what that means is if you're not okay, I'm not okay. So I jump in, I overdo, over-rescue, over-operate.
Do you want to get into where that comes from?
Yeah. And I feel you, because I'm a recovering asshole. So we're both recovering from something.
There you go.
Good.
Thanks for making me feel better. But, and so it's not always my place to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm learning these boundaries of like, maybe this isn't for me to share. And we have to have healthy boundaries in your relationship. And I think it keeps the sacredness of the marriage there when you can go to your girlfriends. You know, women naturally go to coffee, go on walks. I'm always connecting with my girlfriends, you know, but for men, it's not something typically most men do. And so to have a scheduled once a month, he knows he can count on this. It's a safe place to feel seen and heard without judgment. You know, and like you said, it's neutral. You know, if he is dealing with a work situation or financial situation, there's no emotion, so he can process it out. And then there's really amazing, valuable feedback that's not coming from reaction.
I've said many times in my life that I would be divorced without peer groups. And I don't think that's me being extreme. I think that is the truth. So I am so grateful to so many folks that have been there for me in the past. Have you had any experience like that? Are you willing to talk about if that's come up for you at all?
In the sense of having support in peer groups?
Yeah.
So I've never had a formal peer group. My whole life I've had girlfriends. Yeah. And I sometimes overshare. I'm pretty much an open book. And so if something comes up, the way I work through it, you know, this is a good point. A lot of men internalize it. They stuff it. And that turns into a shame cycle. And when that happens, that's really scary because that is where the demons come in. That's the darkness. I work with clients all the time. Why don't you
tell us what you do? Because you've said
okay, so I work as a spiritual medium and I channel people who have died. I was just sharing with you before this that I had a woman whose son died. He was in the military. But this story is not unique. I do this many times a week where I have young men especially, but men of all ages, who died by suicide because they were in such deep, dark shame because they didn't know how to articulate and communicate the feelings that so many of us, all of us go through.
Sure.
But women more naturally tend to feel safe and allowed to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Men don't. And I think what's happening is that is starting to shift because, and I could go down a whole rabbit hole of the spiritual aspect of why, but it's this divine feminine. We all have a divine feminine and masculine, okay? And they're supposed to be in balance.
Yeah.
But they've been so out of balance. And so more and more men are waking up to the feminine, which gives them that feeling of it's okay to be vulnerable.
Right.
And to say, I'm not okay. Right? And that's healthy. And that's what needs to happen. And so to take us all the way back, men tend to not share. I have never needed a formal group because I naturally know when to reach out, or my girlfriends. I have so many girlfriends who are so intuitive. They'll call me and say, I'm feeling you. What's up?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. I just had.
What dude has ever done that
right?
in the history of mankind?
Not many.
Yeah.
And your experience of Chris has been that through this process, he's tapped into more of that feminine, that ability to communicate.
He really has. And so he's pretty unique in that he's always been a seeker. He's always been open-minded. What I love about him is he's a really big man who looks a little intimidating, but he is a teddy bear on the inside. And he has always, like the way we met, he was a seeker. He was into Kabbalah. And so he's always had a balance of that divine feminine and masculine, which I love. But the messaging of society is, you know, you got to be tough. You got to be strong. Be a man, right? And so he went through a really hard time the last year. He had a tremendous amount of disappointments that were out of his control in his professional life. And he started to stuff it. And he didn't realize until just about 6 months ago that it turned into shame. Yeah. And it became very toxic and unhealthy for him, for us as a couple, until he woke up and he went and did this whole program. And it really gave him a catalyst on a mind, body, spirit, a practice to do, which is deeply rooted in meditation and connection to something bigger. we call it God, source, and Christ's consciousness. Okay, this energy that's available. So, but couple that with his group.
Yeah.
Because, he has really relied on that as like, it's a check-in for him each month.
Yeah.
And then in between the groups, he's actively every single day doing his work. And he's softened. He starts his day from his heart, not his head.
Yeah.
And so when what he has shared is when he goes into his groups, he feels like he's in this safe space there's no surface talk. It's not, it's very rooted in, it's deep, it's rich, it's real. He can be authentic without feeling he's going to be judged, right?
Yeah.
And so he's able to go and connect with people on a heart level, which is so much more authentic and real.
Chris, as he's my brother-in-law, I know him pretty well. He's always understood this stuff. But what I've seen watching him is now he's feeling this.
Yeah.
Right? And there's just a big difference between knowing it and feeling it and living it. And I see that with a lot of men who go through the peer groups as you shift from the head to the heart. I know you see this in your work too. Right? A lot of these guys come
all the time
in their head, and I've seen you shift them into the heart.
Yes. And our truth is in our hearts. And Chris is, I always call him, he's a thinker. He analyzes, he is highly intelligent. That can really work against you because then you just start going down these rabbit holes of just making up almost stories. Yeah. And the truth lies here. So it's all about head-heart coherence. We hear a lot of that, but it is so true. And in order to get in touch with truth, your authentic truth and intuition, it's always in the heart, right? And so when you're coming into these peer groups, connecting from here, that's what's transformative. I think for him so often and he's told me he loves listening and holding space for people more than sharing.
Yeah.
He's like, I feel like part of that is just like being of service to others, to witness them so they don't feel so alone.
We have an overused quote that's being listened to feels so much like being loved, I can hardly tell the difference.
Oh,
and so to be able to be on the receiving end and sharing that love with others is, I think, I know it's one of the magics of peer groups because it's where I learned it.
Yeah.
And so I love that you brought that up. Can you speak specifically on, have you seen any changes in how he's parenting and how he's, and I know you've given some broad examples of your relationship, but any more specifics that you can share with us that it's like, wow, I'm seeing this evolution in this guy since he joined a peer group?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll speak for me personally in our relationship. So I'm an empath, and that means that I easily absorb energy. And him being in this group, he's so aware of holding space and witnessing that he'll call me out on, like sometimes, he'll be sharing and then I start to get all tense because he's talking about things that make me uncomfortable or feel unsafe. And he's like, time out, like you're absorbing me.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Like step back and just observe.
That's so interesting. I never experienced that with the men in the groups, but I go home and I experience that with Ariella.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a lot of times what people who are highly intuitive, empathic, and in their feminine do. And so he's learned some really, I think, healthy observation and boundaries. He shared that with me. But in terms of, so I am really sensitive to energy. And we joke it'd be really hard to be married to me because you have to, he gets to be himself. However, I sense everything. I kind of know what he's thinking. Like I'm a psychic, right? I'm always picking up stuff said and unsaid. I'm always feeling it. And so sometimes that can create, discomfort.
Sure.
And so where was I going with this? And so for me, I totally lost my train of thought.
It's hard to be married to you because you're so empathic and
because I'm so empathic. And so for me, but you asked me, what was your question?
Just can you give us some specifics of how he's shown up and evolved since he joined the peer group, not only as your spouse, but as a parent as well?
But to me, that is an evolution. I've seen, that he's showing you, he knows the boundaries now. Right?
That's where I was going. So thank you. Thank you. He knows the boundaries. And so I'm an Enneagram 9, right? And I need to feel safe. I'm a self-preservation 9. So I need to feel safe and secure. And sometimes the truth is he doesn't feel safe and secure. And then I, as an empath and psychic, pick it up and absorb it. And so for him to be able to have that boundary and not overshare with me, but go to his group first, process it out, he comes home, he'll either share selectively or not at all. But then it's a healthier way. So he's not burdening me, because then I naturally go into, I absorb it. So we're mirrors, right?
Yeah.
So if he's anxious, I become anxious.
Right.
I have to stop and say, is this mine or is this his?
Yeah.
Right?
And he's a sexual 7, not that we're going down the path of Enneagram, but they have the worst boundaries unless they do the work, because they're just spilling out into the world, right? And what I hear you saying is, and I've seen this in him, is he's pulling back that energy.
He is. He's pulling it back, and that is such a gift to me,
Yeah.
because I have so many moving parts in my life. I have so many hats I wear, and I love him, and I am always there to hold space. But to be able to share that with other people
Yeah.
has been such a gift. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you. And
Yeah.
again, our whole relationship, he watches me. I have all these girlfriends where we're either on a call
Yeah.
or we're out doing something. And that, I've always had that. He hasn't.
Right.
Men just don't naturally do that.
Yeah.
And
Same.
he's so outgoing, he's so social, and so
But it's surface level.
right.
Yeah.
So if he's doing that, like the rest of us who aren't as social and outgoing, we're definitely doing that.
That's right. And so, yes, I've seen so many differences in parenting. He's always been a really fun dad. He knows how to play and be present to the kids in ways a lot of adults don't know how to. But now there's this, it's a deeper, richer, like empathy and space. I see it definitely with his older girls, but definitely with our 9-year-old. He's not making jokes to, break the ice or, he's really comfortable in sitting in maybe sometimes uncomfortable
Sure.
energies.
Yeah.
And so I really have noticed growth in all the relationships.
So when I come home from my peer groups, Jody's always excited. She says, you're always more loving and you're always more excited to see me than maybe the other days. Have you, Baruch, or you, Becky, noticed that you're better, or Christian's better, or you're better when we come back from peer groups?
Well, for me, and I know this is true for Chris. Chris is one of the wittiest guys I know. Like, he's quick. He's good in the locker room kind of
He's
banter.
really good.
Too good. And I go down that path, and he and I get into this bantering bullshit, like all guys do, right?
Yeah.
When I go home after peer group, I'm not as jokey. I'm not as...
Exactly.
I'm much more of what I call the king and less of the joker. And, that playful piece is still there, but it's now reined in. And Dave has actually taught me a lot about the difference between joking and, like, the mean side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've really softened in that way. I imagine Chris has too.
Oh, yeah. He is the king of joking. That's one of the things I love about him, his levity and playfulness. However, I'm more attracted to the honesty and the depth.
Yeah.
And that has grown tremendously. And he's always been that person. But now it's like he comes home from that. It's like he's had permission to really go there and be there for 5 hours, however long everyone shares. That's a long period of time to marinate in that realness. It's not shallow. It's not
a
surface.
shedding of the ego is
Yes.
how I've experienced it. Would you agree?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
It's, again, the vulnerability, as Brene Brown says, there's strength and vulnerability, and there really is. And I think also what's happening is a lot of people are going through ego deaths on the planet right now. Like, we're being humbled.
Yeah.
There's a lot coming up for a lot of us, a lot of our shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves that are being revealed that we're like, gosh, I kind of have some work to do.
Yeah.
It's all part of the ego.
Yeah.
And what I think for him, what I've heard him say, he doesn't feel so alone in the process. So he goes into less self-judgment, more compassion, because he's like, you know what? So I screwed that up.
Yeah.
And I heard 2 other guys tonight share that they had the same experience.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a really sacred thing you guys have created. It's a sacred space.
I love that word, sacred.
It's sacred.
Yeah.
It really is. I am so lucky. I have these groups. They're like peer groups. I do these online or in person, small group readings, 6 to 8 people. but it's usually women.
Yeah.
The last month, I probably had maybe 8 men, which I was shocked, spread out through groups.
Yeah.
But I had 2 in last week's group. More and more men are coming, but women, again, it's just intuitive. It's natural for them. Men, not so much. But it's the same idea. We come together in a non-judgmental, loving space. For me, the source is different.
Yeah.
I'm doing all the work. I'm connecting them to loved ones who died.
Yeah.
That help them feel seen and heard, validation, so they're like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
But then I break them open and we get into the heart of truth, like the shame, the guilt, the blame, all the things that they're holding and not telling anybody. So the reason I'm sharing this, everything he shared with me, I'm like, I have seen it in my groups and I know firsthand how sacred that is, because this world can feel very lonely. And the concern with loneliness, when you become disconnected, okay, ego is edging God out. And when you unplug from, and you're an ego, and you're disconnected from source, which is that light where it's unconditional love and connection, that's where suicide comes in.
Yeah.
Our Father.
Hopelessness.
Hopeless, despair.
Yeah.
So David Hawkins, you know who David Hawkins is, he wrote a book called Power versus Force. And in there's a scale of consciousness. And on the top is love and enlightenment. And on the bottom is victimhood and shame. I mean, these are the lowest.
Yeah.
So often, most people are vibrating, calibrating at these lower levels until they have connection. So whether it's connection to a group of men, right? Or connection to whoever, a lover, or connection to source.
Yeah.
Ideally, it's source first and then to other humans.
Yeah.
Then you start climbing the scale and you don't feel so alone, right? And that's what these groups have done. That's what it's done for him.
And the only thing I would nuance in that is that it's not just being in a group. It's being in a group that's committed to that higher vibration.
Yeah.
Because you can go with your golfing buddies, you can go with your other buddies, but that's already the starting point. There's a competition. There's a zero-sum game. Somebody wins, somebody loses, kind of a thing.
Well, there's ego.
There's ego.
Yeah.
And then you know, so it's not just a man being in a group, it's being in the right group.
Yes. And, you know, I mean, again, I don't know what your groups are like, but unlike a traditional support group, would you compare it to a support group?
No, I think peer is the best way to describe it, because it's all rooted in experience shares. So it's never telling, it's always sharing.
I love that. And there's connection in that.
And one of the great lines I heard early on was, you know, it's commitment before ego, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to be highly committed to want to be in a peer group. And those that do it, I think the ROI is unbelievably successful. And I think you're here to talk about how you're seeing it firsthand.
I am 100% seeing it. And, you know, I will say it's not just the group. Chris is really doing the work on every level outside of the group.
Good.
But the group is where I see he feels more like you said, he walks in the door and he's more relaxed.
Yeah.
Because I can sense he feels connection. You know, we're all wired differently. And he's an extrovert.
Yeah.
And he thrives on connection, but not surface level like golfing with the buddies.
Right.
He can do that and he enjoys it.
He's good at it.
He's great at it and he enjoys it. But where he thrives, because he's in a growth period and he feels supported.
Yeah.
And he feels seen and he feels heard.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get that from most friends.
Yeah.
But he's gotten that from these guys.
I'm glad that you said he's in a growth period, because I think that also sums up the spirit of having that desire, not only to, you know, have the ability to pay for it, because there is a fee to be in these various peer groups, but the time, the commitment, you know, the ability to hold space, to stay confidential. We're all in that growth period. And that's why we have this aligned value. And back to your point, and it's all coming full circle, is that folks that aren't ready for that are living probably closer to that victimhood stage in their lives. And to dovetail on that, you have a lot of girlfriends that are also in similar modeled peer groups as well that I know.
Yes.
So you live in this world as well, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, selfishly, I kind of have that outlet through the work I get to do, because I meet my clients where they're at and I'm like one with them. So I do have a taste of what group energy is,
Yeah.
even though I'm facilitating. But, again, you have to figure out who you are. We're all different. We're all wired differently. But what I'm finding is even like the people I know, the men I know who are, they're individualists, they're introverts, even them, they're needing connection.
Yeah.
And not from, again, the women in their life, from the men. And, I just think this is just a really incredible opportunity for people to connect with like-minded men. Can I speak to real quick the confidentiality?
Please.
That has been, honestly, I think the biggest comfort piece for him, because what he has said to me is, it's not just a group of any men. It's a group of nobody really has connections. You guys are really careful to pair so that it's not like, it's like when you and he originally were like in the same group. That's not going to work.
Mistake.
You don't need to hear about his personal life, right? With your sister.
Yeah,
and
trust me, that's true.
Yeah. And so what he loves so much and what I think is so great is that he feels he can be 100% real and share, knowing it's not going to get back to mutual friends or family. And so I think men knowing that it really is curated in a way that it's a safe space. We honor and value the confidentiality piece, because as I was sharing with you guys, I don't even know the names of half the people in his group.
Shout out to Chris. Good work, man.
He's really good about it. And I don't want to know.
Good.
Like, right?
Yeah, it's good. That's how it should be. It's great.
Honor. This is his thing and his space, and I love that piece of it.
We
too.
commonly say no pillow talk ever. It just keeps it clean.
It's good.
Yeah. I'm inspired that you're sharing this. I'm inspired to have other spouses come and share their experiences about being married to a man that's in peer group. Could you help kind of tee that up for us? If you were to share with another spouse of a prospect, what would you share? Because what you're telling us, we know the lingo.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a way to describe it? Have you thought about this before? And has anybody asked you?
Nobody's asked me. I don't honestly share that he's in a peer group.
Yeah.
I have actually shared with the men in my small groups about this.
Yeah.
And what I would say is healthy boundaries are so important in all relationships. And we can't be everything to everyone, but especially to our spouse. And so to give your spouse the gift of this opportunity to go and connect with other men is priceless, because, I could see how some women may feel like threatened by it. What is he sharing with them that he's not telling me? But it literally energetically takes the burden off of us.
Yeah.
We do not have to hold it all.
Right.
And people wired like me naturally hold it all.
Yeah.
And then it comes between us, right?
Totally.
And so if we can have that separate space, it's a gift to both of us.
Can you speak a little more to that? Because we have gotten a little bit of pushback around the name. It's not just the name, Man Uprising, and it's men rising up in the second half of life. And there is that initial reaction of, I don't know if I want my husband to be a part of Man Uprising.
I don't want him to rise up. I want him to stay right where he's at.
Well, so I love that you're saying this. So, one of my lessons is that I shrink down and play small to make other people comfortable.
Yeah.
And that is the work I'm working on right now. And Chris is always like, I want you to rise up and be the lightest, brightest, shiniest version of you.
Keeping the name, buddy.
And that is the work every day I'm doing. And when he's in a painful place, I commonly shrink to meet him where he's at. But the guidance that I give others, that now I'm walking my own talk, is you want to rise up and into your power, your sovereignty, taking seniority over your light, right? Be who you are unapologetically. That will inspire the spouse to either rise up with you and meet you where you're at or not.
Yeah.
And that's okay if they don't. And sometimes if they don't, they fall out.
Yeah.
So I could see the Man Up feels kind of like hard and harsh. But if you reframe it to it's an empowering, this is what we should all be doing. Women should be rising up.
Yeah.
All of us should
And
be.
emotionally, spiritually.
On every level, but not in ego, like you guys said.
Right.
From your authenticity, from a soul level, right? Not a mind or ego level.
And we're talking about language here, which we all have learned over the years. It's so important. And when you say, and B, you've shared this with me too. You know, there's this feminine piece, this masculine piece, and you know, men moving into kind of their feminine selves. And I might be butchering the statement. That even sounds to me like, well, wait a second, I'm supposed to be more feminine. Can you talk through that a little more openly and help us understand?
Yeah. So we are all souls, right? But you know, your gender is your male and I'm female. But energy is just energy.
Yeah.
And we all have masculine and feminine energy, right? It's the yin and yang.
Yeah.
And so when you're a healthy whole being, you're in balance between the two.
Yeah.
Feminine energy is more right brain, right? It's intuition, it's creativity. And, you know, left brain is the masculine. It's linear, it's constructive, it's doing, right? Where the divine feminine is more soft, it's being.
Yeah.
And you need the balance of both. And so we're not talking like feminine, masculine, like sexuality or it's energy.
Yeah.
And so the men who are so in their masculine are the ones who are suffering the most because they're so unplugged and disconnected from their intuition and their creativity and that piece that is heart-centered. And if it's a really hollow, empty existence, if you're living here in your head, we are not meant to live and operate. That's where the suicide comes in. I just know this so well because I channel it every day.
Yeah.
We have to have the balance of head and heart, intellect, intuition. And so to have a safe place to go and process out your situations, your struggles with men and feel held and not judged, but totally seen, and then have experience shares to receive that back, to be mirrors, you soften naturally. And so from there, you go out into the world and you're a more healthy, whole human.
Yeah. We invited you here because we wanted to hear about your experience shares around being married to a man that's in peer group, and I love it. But because you have so much experience, and because suicide is such a just a constant in all of our worlds, and the data is loosely that I think 80% of suicides are men versus 20% women. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience and what you've seen and why men can't come to a peer group versus deciding to take their own life?
And I would just add one point to that, because I don't get to ask this of anybody else. Do you think Dad would have killed himself if he had a real peer group?
No. And our dad was trying to create something similar when he had a meditation group. And it wasn't just men, it was women. But had he had something like this, no. But B, he probably would have run this. Like,
Oh, wow.
right? And I quite honestly think you and he could have done it together, but I think there's a part of you that is channeling this inspiration from him. Here, go give the world what I wished I would have had. This is what he needed. Yeah. So
along those lines, Yehuda, my son, your nephew, just graduated college, and he's like, Abba, I just want to run peer groups with you.
amazing. That's this
That's
ancestral.
amazing.
That's amazing. And that's this ancestral line. Like Dad's saying, go redeem myself and my choosing from shadow. That's so beautiful and meant to be. Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. This will save many, many lives. So your question is, why men?
Yeah.
So from my experience is that men, again, that toxic masculinity, it is not okay to be vulnerable. You have to be strong, man up. And so
Rising.
men rising.
Rising.
You guys got to reframe this to
Bless
light
you.
and not shadow,
Yeah.
right?
Rising up spiritually, emotionally.
Yeah.
And so they internalize.
Yeah.
And so they keep it inside thinking I'm the only one. And that dis-ease becomes a disease. So whether it's mental imbalance or they literally create a health issue because they're holding so much shame and pain and loneliness. And so had they just had these souls who died by suicide, had they just had a place to go and feel like not alone, like I'm not the only one, and they would have been able to rise up and out of that dark hole. And now, only now, it's becoming more acceptable and more talked about.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I mean, even I'm seeing it, more and more men coming to me seeking something bigger and more spiritually inclined because they're like, this can't just be it. Like, this is so hollow and empty.
Yeah.
Right? Just the human 3D side of it. There's so much more. And so, yeah.
It is interesting because I've been in peer groups essentially since 1997, and 2006 is when I joined my first business peer group. And that particular business peer group has about 20,000 members worldwide. And the predecessor, which is the bigger version of that group with bigger businesses, has about 30,000 members worldwide. And I don't know everybody certainly, but I certainly have a lot of contacts, and I've been playing in this world for a long time. I've never heard of somebody in peer group committing suicide. I'm sure it's happened, but I've never heard about it.
I'm sure statistically it's much lower.
Yeah, it's got to be. And so just, full circle, I know that I'm oversimplifying it, but I just think peer groups can save people's lives. And I think you're saying the same thing.
Yes, because we all want to feel a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And when you feel you belong, like people give up their authenticity to belong. That's where we self-betray and, we lose ourselves.
Yeah.
But in these peer groups, you don't have to betray yourself. In fact, the opposite. You get to go be messy, real you in a space where you're being held. That is powerful. And you feel that belonging. And that takes us full circle back to connection. Because when you feel connected to the humans, we all are a piece of the divine. And so God to me is love. It's an energy, unconditional love. So when you're in a peer group with other men and you feel that connection and that love, you're aligned, you're back in tune with the divine. You're not in ego.
Yeah. And I think a big thing for men is that most men learn to access that through sex, right? Through that level of intimacy.
Being validated.
And, as I tell people, women need to feel in order to have sex, and men need to have sex in order to feel.
Mm.
And for a man to go into a peer group and learn to feel without sex with men, right, and then create intimacy with men, it's just next level.
It is.
It's totally new terrain for those of us who only knew one way of being in the world. And then to have this level of intimacy, I mean, every time we're with him, we're crying over something.
Yeah.
And it's...
Well, to be truthful, I'm crying over something.
I'm crying on the inside.
Exactly.
But I teared up today. But to be able to access that without having to, let's say, use Ariella, but to be dependent on her to access that piece of me,
right,
has been really transformative. Yeah.
I'm sure. God is our source, not another human. And, we all have to find how we access that divine energy. And I think the peer groups are one more tool.
Yeah.
They give you permission to open a door, and that door is to your heart. And I just don't think you can be the same after joining and doing it for a prolonged period of time. Because it almost is like you have just surface level conversations, which there's a time and a place for that, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not real. I mean, for me, I know my tolerance for surface level is really low.
Ugh, amen.
Because I just, let's get straight to the truth and connect on a heart level, not
Say
right.
the thing.
And so I think that's what I've also noticed with him. I mean, he's always been capable to go deep, but he's also able to meet people where they're at.
Well, and as a man, nobody ever taught me how to go deep until I joined a peer group.
Wow.
And that's literally where I learned it. And now it's been transformational.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also say it feels like there's kings in these groups and some elders. And you need, I think, both. And maybe there's some princes going into this, but I think, that whole evolution, we talked about this. I think this is that afternoon in life is the king like ship. Is that even a word? But then from there, I feel like it's going to naturally evolve into these men becoming elders.
Yeah.
And then that's like you paying it forward in service to Yuda, your son. Right. And so you're building, it's like not just a safe place to process things, but also they're growing, they're ascending into their higher selves.
And I like you taught me this, but it's this patriarchal journey as well. It's like becoming the patriarch, not replacing our fathers, but certainly taking that role over. And so many of us, especially in our age group, had dads that didn't teach us about depth and kept it all inside. And we're not masters of vulnerability like I believe we're becoming. And I think that's this patriarchal shift that I love that messaging as well, that I'm seeing. Not only have I experienced it, but now I'm getting to see it firsthand. So for sure, we have princes that are joining, looking to become the patriarchs or the kings, if you will, for their own families.
Yeah, it's an evolution. And you probably have a mix of all.
Yeah.
But you're creating this vessel, this opportunity, a space for them to go. And it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So
thank you. I should be thanking you.
No, well, thank you. And
you're welcome.
You're welcome. And it just feels really great to have a partner, a wife of Man Uprising brother. It's an entirely new perspective for me. When you suggested doing it, it was just like this light bulb went off. And then I told Dave, and Dave's like, wow, there's like a whole genre here of conversations we could and should be having. So thanks for initiating that.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I think if more women recognize that it's not all on them, they would be pushing their husbands to see you. Yeah. And so I think it's,
Awesome.
Love it.
So
Thanks,
good.
Becky.
So good. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks.